over there and relations are different, and it was just too hard. So I told him to email me, and he did, but too late, and it was all in Turkish, and I was on a plane and just getting caught up, so I couldn't respond to him. I feel bad, but what can you do? I hope he found a place to stay. So I entered to say goodbye to the first guy, the first old guy, and I just want to say I'm just fascinated by old people who know a lot of things. So when I was in Egypt, there's like this typical old guy. I don't know if I said this in the Egypt post, but it's like, he has to wear glasses and have this old gray suit. It has to be like a fabric suit. I know this sounds really maybe racist, or sorry if this is offensive to anyone. And they like Kulthum's music, and really, really old, like classical Egyptian music. They're very cultured. They're aware of politics and religion. They're well read. Their Arabic is very high, but they also know different colloquials. And they're usually like professors or doctors or engineers. They're just really cool because you sit down with them and you can talk about anything. They're very, very well read. Not widely read, well read. There's a difference. So I entered to say goodbye to the old guy, and I saw another old guy who was actually older um, in front of him. He was sitting down. He had all these documents. So he had come to this kütüphane, this library, to see if he could find out about his ancestors. It was just so fascinating. So he's sitting down, right? And he has these pictures, and then so he says, "Hey, come over here, Tamam." I mean, I don't know if he remembered my name, but he was just like, "Come over here." So I come, and he has this picture of this old guy who was a hoja. He was an imam. He was a religious leader, a learned person in his society, and that was this grandfather's grandfather. And so the old guy, the first old guy, came up to me and he's like, "Can you help me read this?" So he brings a very old document, and it was even photocopied, and like the ink was gone. It was like watered out of a person's name, and I couldn't read it. And he's like, "Is this Suleiman?" I was like, "This looks like a sin and maybe a lamb." These are different letters in Arabic, by the way. I couldn't make it out, and he's like, "Neither could I." And I just go back, and the guy speaks to me, the really old guy. He just says "ana," which means I, and then he used something else, a verb which was conjugated for ben in Turkish. So it didn't make sense, but he was trying. It was just so cool, I thought. And then he just spoke in Turkish to me, and he was just telling me that that was his grandfather. He's looking for more information. And then there was a silence, and he started to get teary-eyed in his search for more information about his grandfather. I mean, it was just surreal. It was just really cool to be there. I mean, you have these people whose language was changed in the early 20th century, and as a result, they've been cut off from their history, from their past. This girl was there studying Ottoman Turkish. It's a different script, and it's an older language. Sorry about that lag. I saw that just happened. Uh, yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, it was his grandfather's identity card, and I don't know. But it was just really cool to see that because I think I saw restoration, revival, people learning this stuff, and they're getting in touch with their history. I heard of some kids being taught the Arabic script because learning the Latin is easier later on. And so actually their parents in Turkey taught them that. I have a friend who wants to do that with his children. Because the Arabic puts you in touch with so many languages. It helps you understand the root for me, so I can see it. Might be a strange word, or the Turkish pronunciation sounds very strange to me. But when I see the Arabic script, I was like, oh, now I understand, because it's based on roots. So the script is really huge. And I talked about how these old men were so cool. One didn't know Arabic, and he was also there, a third man I didn't talk about in the front, and he just listened intently. He was reading the Ottoman in Arabic with the other guy, and the other guy was just listening to him and drinking tea. It was so cool. And the one hosting me, the one I talked about, he knew Turkish, old and new, or old and modern, whatever you want to call it. Arabic was very good, and he said he also knew Persian. Um, it was just interesting how he was like, he was desperate for people to read these texts, to read this history. He was just so excited to show them to me and that people were reading them. And he's like, when are, I was like, I have to leave. And he's like, when will you come back? And I said, this is my last day in Turkey. And he was just like, he said in very beautiful classical Arabic, had you only come sooner, had you only come sooner. And then he was like, do you have any friends that you're living with, i.e. roommates? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, do they know Arabic like you do? I mean, because they do know some Arabic. And I was like, no, but not like me. And he was just like, oh, if you find out about anyone, you know, let them know where we are, please. We have a lot of texts. And then he said something very beautiful. You know, Turkish people, wherever I go, when I tell them I'm leaving, they're like, bekliyoruz, bekliyoruz, which means we're waiting, as in we're waiting for you. Anytime, come by. And he said it in Arabic, which doesn't really fit, you know, culturally, the way he said it, but it was just beautiful to hear that. And knowing the Turkish, it makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean, that was my last day, and I just thought it was really cool. It was a really good experience. It's really sad that I'm at 16 minutes and 30 seconds because now I'm going to have to make this into 2 videos. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with y'all. Alright, take care. And then next I'm going to talk about flying back and then new experiences here. It's really cool. Alright, take care. Assalamu alaikum.